Okay, good evening, everybody. A couple of you have been here for a couple minutes, listening to Kylie and I just get situated in the first webinar that I've ever hosted on Zoom. I've been a panelist a bunch of times. We've got just under 10 people that are joining us now, but people are popping up as we come. So I'll do a quick introduction of myself, introduction of Kylie, and we'll get going with the evening. So my name is Matt McElrath, he, him, his pronouns. I'm the Director of Student Services. I will be the moderator here tonight, so I am able to see the chat and the Q&A. Kylie has a presentation that she's planning to screen share here, so we'll have Kylie plan to go through um, her entire presentation and then do Q&A at the end, but I will be kind of looking at it as we go along, so if there's any technical things or other things that make sense to kind of interrupt and jump to that, I'll do that. As I mentioned before a couple minutes ago, we'll also be recording this to share it. As long as everything goes smoothly, we'll save that and send that out to everybody here as well. But we've got about 15 folks, so we are going to get started. Kylie, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Cool. I'm Kylie DeGrote. I am the college and career counselor at Great River. My pronouns are she, her. Um, yeah, and I'm excited to be doing this webinar. First time as a panelist, so that's exciting. Um, yeah, is there anything specific you think I should share, Matt, about me?
Sure, a little bit of your background before you came to Great River would be fun.
Yeah. So this is my first time as a college and career counselor, starting back in September. Before that, I was at a different school as their art teacher, but also did a lot of the social emotional lead type things. And while doing that, I started helping our few seniors um, explore what they wanted to do with their futures. And I really enjoyed that. So I decided to make a transition to something more along these lines, which is great. Before that, I was a social worker for a while. Decided I just really like working with teenagers. They're very fun, very sassy. I love it. So, yeah, that's me. I'm originally from northern Minnesota, kind of a country person down a dirt road, but here I am in the big city. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, scholarships. Mm, Okay. So, the reason that I wanted to schedule this webinar is because a month or two ago, I sent out a survey to students and families about scholarships and any barriers that families and students are facing when it comes to applying for scholarships. I got about 50 responses, and the most common response was that there's a lack of information available about um, what scholarships there are, when the deadlines are, what the process is. So, this is a response to that. There are some other things here that I will be trying to address as well. But yeah, so the main purpose today is to talk about where to find scholarships, what scholarships are, what types of scholarships there are, and the common ones that our students tend to get. And I'll share a few resources as well. Okay, so what is a scholarship? So, a grant or a payment made to support a student's education, awarded on the basis of academic or other achievement. There's a lot of different types of scholarships. There's merit based, which is based off of something extraordinary that the student does. So that could be like doing well on the PSAT, um, taking the PSAT can qualify you for a national merit scholarship. So sometimes there's tests that you can take and you get money in the form of scholarships for doing well on those tests, like the National Merit Scholarship. Um, Sometimes the lines of which category scholarships fall into are a little bit blurred, but you could consider a merit scholarship um, like you have a lot of volunteer hours or something like that, or based off of GPA or performing in extra curriculars. There's also need based, which is based off of your family's financial situation. Um, Need based scholarships are based off of Generally your household income, but there can be a lot of other factors that they take into account as well, and not just your gross income. There's athletic scholarships, artistic scholarships, scholarships that are based off of this field of study. So if you're going to study STEM and you've done a lot of activities within STEM, you might qualify for a scholarship that's specifically for students who excel in STEM. Group affiliation, so that could be maybe something to do with race or ethnicity. It could be religious, whatever different ways that people group themselves. Generally, there is groups that also give scholarships as well. And then there's also competition scholarships as well. So, especially for music or performance, sometimes there'll be a competition where at the end of it you get a scholarship that you can then use for college. Okay, so scholarship sources. Local organizations are a great way to find scholarships. One of the biggest sources that I think people tend to overlook is scholarships from banks and credit unions. Um, Most banks do have a scholarship for high school students who are going to college. I know that I actually got a scholarship when I was in high school from my bank in northern Minnesota. Um, so definitely check into where you bank, especially if it's a smaller bank. Your student has a more likely chance of getting that scholarship versus like if you bank at Wells Fargo, there's a lot more people who would be applying to them, but they are available. There's different foundations in the area that do provide scholarships as well. Um, I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. So I just put one example, but I do have more as well. And then also clubs. So I know Boy Scouts, American Legion, YMCA, all of them have scholarships that high school students can apply for. Um, and it doesn't have to be sometimes the student who is in that club or organization, but it can also be a parent or a family member as well. So even if the student isn't directly involved, if the parent, guardian, or family is, they might also be eligible for a scholarship through local organizations as well. Um, Academic institutions are also a great place to find scholarships. This is where you'll find a lot of them. Within academic institutions, there are different places that scholarships can be found. I think a lot of incoming freshmen don't realize that you can apply for scholarships within a specific department at your school and not just the general ones that are available to all students. I put a link here that brings to the University of Minnesota scholarship page. So let that load a second. I wanted to show that there's college specific scholarships. So let's say you get into a school and your major is within the College of Liberal Arts versus the College of Science and Engineering. There are usually on the website different scholarships that the school will provide that will go specifically to students within that major. And people who are just applying don't always realize that, so they miss out on some of these specific scholarships. So within like the College of Liberal Arts at the University of Minnesota, there's an incoming freshman scholarship, transfer scholarships, all sorts of different scholarships that you would be able to get. And same with these other colleges within. Most schools do have some sort of scholarship program like this, where each college or each major kind of has their own specific scholarships that are available to them. So knowing about that as an incoming freshman, you have more opportunity to get more money. So that's always good. Also at the University of Minnesota, it's one of our most common colleges our students go to, so that's why I'm using it as an example, but definitely this applies to other colleges as well, is on their website, they'll have many, many scholarships that students are able to apply to, whether it's from the institution or a lot of the times they'll link resources out to other places that will give scholarships to their students as well. So here's a few examples of um, what the University of Minnesota has for scholarships. So they have university-wide ones, which are available to everybody, no matter what college they're in. We just looked at the college-specific ones, and then there's these other ones as well. So merit, freshman, all sorts of different things. Back to here. Yeah, so there's some that you need to apply for each one separately. So a lot of those scholarships that we just looked at, each will have its own individual application that you'll need to fill out. Some institutions will do it in a different way, where you fill out one application and you're automatically considered for all of the scholarships that college will offer. But they're not all like that. So they're all different. So depending on where you go, everyone will kind of do their applications for scholarships differently. Some will use the CSS profile, which is very similar to filling out like the FAFSA, but it's for the schools to determine if you're eligible for their scholarships. Some will use just the FAFSA information, and some you'll have to apply for all of them individually. There's also all sorts of scholarship websites that just list scholarships from all different sources. So some very common ones would be Big Future, scholarships.com, FastWeb, Going Merry. There's all sorts of them. You could just Google like scholarships, they'll all pop up. The downside to those is that everybody does that. So I remember when I was a freshman in college, I just like Googled scholarships and I saw all of these scholarships. And I'm like, oh, great, I'm going to apply to all of these, not really realizing that every other freshman in the United States probably also did that and applied to the top ones as well. So the ones on these websites can sometimes be a lot harder to get because so many different people are applying to them. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't apply to them. It just means that you'll want to evaluate your time and the effort that it takes to fill out these applications and write these essays and see if you do feel like you have a good time or you do have a good amount of time to do it. You feel like you could actually be eligible for it. And also looking at the pool of applicants, because sometimes on these websites you can see, oh, this is only available to students in Minnesota. That makes it a lot more likely than this is available to any freshman in the United States. And this is what I'm really excited to share. I've sent these out in emails a couple times, so I'm sure a lot of you have gotten them. But what I've been doing is I've been creating a master spreadsheet of all of the scholarships that I hear about. And what I'm really trying to do is to make it kind of specific to Minnesota and the Twin Cities area and things that our students would be able to qualify for. So I'm going to show you that spreadsheet. It will load. Yeah. So I've spent many, many hours putting things into the spreadsheet to try to help students know what's available to them and what kind of scholarships there are. I really try to categorize it and put it into different tabs so you can look based off of what you think you might qualify for the most. So this first tab here is all local or Midwest scholarships. So I really tried to put like, when is it due? When does it open? How much money is it? And who can qualify for it? So that's the first tab. Then I put heritage and racial identity. So there's a lot of scholarships that are available for BIPOC students, Hispanic students. Those probably are the most popular on here, I believe, but there's some for Italian students and Swedish students and Irish students. Things that you might not necessarily think that you could get a scholarship for, but if you are Irish or Italian, you might also qualify for some scholarships as well. Merit-based. So again, these are ones that are for students who are very like high achieving in an area. Study abroad. So these ones are a little bit different in that you don't get like a lump sum of money to go to college. You apply for it and then the scholarship itself is a trip to go somewhere. So those are also very cool options. Scholarships specifically for women or individuals identifying as women as well. LGBTQIA. We got some needs-based, so based off of your family's income or special circumstances, or I also put first-generation college students in here as well. Creative competitions, so these are ones for writing competitions, visual arts, music, plays. So if you're a creative person, these ones might be for you. Field of study specific. So let's say I'm going to study nursing. I can just scroll down here and see all of the scholarships that are available for nursing. We have STEM, trades. I'm still trying to add more to this because I realize that there's a lot more fields of study than that, but I'm just kind of taking them as I hear about them. I put other scholarships as well. So scholarships that don't quite really fit into a different category on here, but they're still important. So if you happen to be a vegetarian, there's a scholarship specifically for vegetarians. So who knows? There's something for everybody, it seems. I also put a page of other resources on here. So some of those scholarship databases, I put links to them. There's some organizations that will link you to scholarships as well, and then other programs.
Hey, Kylie, could I ask you to send me a link for this and I can put it in the chat for everybody so they can follow along and make sure they've got it?
Yeah, I can do that right now. Or not. Okay. Can I just type it? One other thing that I am starting to do based off of the results of that survey that I was showing, where at the beginning, where the lack of information about scholarships was probably like the biggest hindrance for students and families to applying to them. I'm trying to send out scholarships monthly that have a deadline of the upcoming month. I was a little bit late to it this month. I didn't realize that it took a couple days to send out like a mass email. So some of you probably got an email from me that was, here's your March scholarships. And then the first couple ones were for March 1st, but it was sent out, I think, yesterday. So I apologize for that. Next month, I will have it out sooner. So you have more advance notice to apply for them. But I will show you that as well because there's some important ones on here. So yeah, so I'm going to try to send these out because I know that other scholarship spreadsheet can be a little bit daunting because there's so many on there and they all have different due dates and things. So I'm trying to streamline it and make it easier for you all by sending out that month's like due date scholarships. So this month there are quite a few, which is great. And I'll highlight some of the ones that I know that some of our students in the past have gotten as well. I will also send this to you, Matt, so you can put it in the chat. So yeah, so next month I'll try to have out like a couple weeks before the start of the month. So you can have more time to apply for them as well. Okay, so I wanted to talk about a few specific scholarships that our students have gotten in the past, or are like pretty substantial ones. So a few of our students, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, because I haven't been here, but I feel like I've heard that a few of our students have gotten the Questbridge scholarships, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So they have a few different programs that are absolutely phenomenal. The first one I'm going to talk about is the College Prep Scholars Program. That one's for juniors. But I believe the one that our students have gotten previously was the National College Match, which is for seniors. The other two are for like people who have been in the program, and it's like after college networking. So we're going to focus just on the first two. But the College Prep Scholar Program is for high school juniors from low income backgrounds. This one has a due date of March 20th. This program, you basically are able to get all expenses paid trip to a like week long or 2 week long pre-college program. Pre-college programs are similar to summer camps, but they are specifically to help juniors get ready for college, and you get to study like a potential major for a week or two at the college. Um, those programs are very good on an application, and it makes you very like it makes it easier to get into schools a lot of the time. If you've done the pre-college program there, you can show that you can keep up with their rigor, and are passionate about the school. So you get a summer program. So some of the colleges would be like Emory, U Chicago, Yale. There's a whole bunch more, and I'll show you a list of those in a little bit. But you also can get a scholarship of about $1,000. You get to go to the National College Admissions Conference, personalized support with college essays, standardized tests, or completing financial aid forms, and expert guidance on applying to 55 top colleges through the National College Match. So I put the requirements here. So you have to have primarily A's. Household has to be earning less than 65,000 for a family of four, and most are qualifying for free and reduced lunch. Typically, on the top 5 to 10% of their class, contribute meaningfully to activities at home, at school, or in the community, and are often among first generation in their family to attend a 4-year university or college. The National College Match, again, is through Questbridge as well, but it's geared towards seniors. This one is also for low income backgrounds, and very high achieving students as well. Here's the list of the colleges that Questbridge partners with. You can see that a lot of them are very like they're all top schools. Okay, so the National College Match is full 4-year scholarship with no loans or parent contribution. So if you get matched with a school on that list through this program, it's a 4-year scholarship. It's all like no loans, no parent contribution, everything is paid for. You would be considered for early admission up to 15 college partners at once. Your application is free. Application designed to highlight unique story and background and multiple opportunities for admission. Westbridge Scholar Network and Alumni Association you would be paired with afterwards. Another one that our students have gotten in the past have been page grants. So page grants are for students of color pursuing a 2 or 4 year degree in Minnesota. And they, along with the grant, they also have annual service projects where they will serve and help children for like with a variety of projects as well. Um, the award amount is somewhere between 2,500 and 3,500. Um, the application date for that would be April 1st. Um, Another one would be the Optimist Club of St. Paul. They have three different ones, one for communication contest for deaf and hard of hearing, essay contest, and the oratorical contest. I believe we had two students do win the essay contest recently, which is exciting. The oratorical contest, I believe, is due sometime next month, but I'd have to check for sure. So these ones are more like um, contests and competitions, not so much based off of um, like income or merit, besides doing well in the competition. Another one that is new and exciting is the North Star Promise. This one falls more under the category of a grant than a scholarship. Um, but the North Star Promise program is state funded and it's for students to get tuition and a free pathway to higher education in Minnesota. So, students who would be eligible for the North Star Promise are Minnesota residents with a gross adjusted income that is less than 80,000, um, as reported on either the FAFSA or the Minnesota Dream Act. So it's for new, returning, and current college students, students who are attending a Minnesota public higher education institution or tribal college. So it has to be a public institution or tribal college in the state of Minnesota for you to be able to get this grant from Minnesota. Students are taking at least one credit enrolled in any program of for a course of study, working towards a degree, diploma, or certificate. Have to keep up satisfactory academic program standards, and you can't already have a bachelor's degree or can't be like defaulting on your student loans. So it's a considered a last dollar program. So what that means is that they cover any remaining balance that might be on your bill from your college. So it still will be everything is paid. It's just sometimes they'll rely on like Pell Grants, other scholarships that you've gotten, stipends and things first, and then what's ever left over is what the North Star Promise will cover. There's also a North Star Promise Plus, which you get the base North Star Promise where tuition is covered, but there's also more fees that are associated with going to college. So that can help you pay for non-tuition and fees. So that might be your books, housing, meal plan, something like that. So there isn't an additional application process to the North Star Promise. It's just based off of your FAFSA or the Minnesota Dream Act. So once you complete those, colleges will automatically tell you in your financial aid award letter whether you're eligible for that or not. Yeah, so the main goal is to have positive impact on the students, and it's just generally the Office of Higher Education in Minnesota is wanting to support Minnesota's students and also have them go to one of our many Minnesotan schools. Keep them in state. Yeah, so here's some more information. I can send out this presentation with these links as well. Um, but yeah, that's what I have for y'all. So I think we can just open it up for questions because I know I just kind of talked at y'all for half an hour.
Kylie, do you want to send me the link for the presentation? I'll just throw that in the chat here as well.
Yes, I will stop the share.
I'll just say here that we do have the chat disabled as part of the webinar and part of the recording, but the Q&A section should be something that you can click on. So I've got a couple questions that have come through. I've answered them all kind of privately back, but folks have been asking for the links. So let me know, or I guess look around for that Q&A button. If you have any questions, plan to type those in, and then I can answer them in the chat, or I can read them out loud to Kylie. So this is a question. I'm not sure if it's coming from a junior or a senior. So with that in mind, when should we be planning to start this process, looking at scholarships and financial aid? This is from a junior.
If you are a junior, a lot of these scholarships are available to juniors as well. But the majority of them will be open to seniors only. So if you are a junior, it's never really too early to start looking into what scholarships are available to you, because you could get money, you know? So I would suggest that anyone start looking into it, kind of peruse that spreadsheet and see if anything's available to you um, when you have time to do it, because they're available. And you definitely, like, the more money you can get, the better. College is expensive. So I would suggest starting those and looking at when the deadlines are, because they all have different deadlines. There's not like, okay, this is when most of the scholarships are due. They just all have their own individual deadlines. And if you want help figuring out what scholarships you could possibly apply for as a junior, always feel free to message me or schedule a meeting with me because I'm always happy to help go through that spreadsheet or look for additional ones that might not be on there as well.
And I'll just add to that, Kylie, that the three that you mentioned, specifically the Optimist, the Page, and the QuestBridge, are probably the ones that are outside of any specific school that Great River students over the years have gotten the most frequently. And as you mentioned, the QuestBridge one is one with an application for juniors coming up here this month. And so that's one to be looking at in particular.
Yeah, and I believe the essay contest for the Page Scholarship is due in September. So if that's something you're interested in, at the beginning of the school year, you'll want to have at least started that essay.
All right, I'll go through a couple more here. One is just kind of a plug saying that labor unions and organizations like that can also be a great source for scholarships. So again, any kind of affiliation that you have as a student or that your family might have is a good place to start. Another question is, can you negotiate with a college? So this is for seniors that have already been admitted for more financial aid is the question.
Yes and no. um, so the financial aid office is able to adjust the amounts that you get in like loans and like Pell Grants and things if there was something that wasn't reflected in your FAFSA. So when you're applying with your FAFSA, they use your tax information from 2 years prior. And so your family situation might have changed in those 2 years. So let's say, um, like 2 years ago, your family was making a lot of money. And then let's say a parent lost a job and wasn't and isn't able to make that same amount of money. You can contact financial aid offices and see if they're able to take your situation into account and give you a new award letter. That's all just based off of their professional discretion. Um, and so some offices, it will be way harder than others to get that adjusted. Some won't even consider it, some will.
I think I'll just add to that too that like March and April are the seasons to be doing that, as you know, May 1st deadline commitment comes around. And so I'll say that in my experience too, that if student has 3, 4, 5 acceptances, oftentimes they're looking at comparing the schools based on their experience that they'll have, but also the financial aid packages. And it's not uncommon at all to reach out to a school and say, hey, you're my top choice. It's going to be 5, 10, $20,000 more expensive. Is there anything you can reconsider? So it might include all the things that Kylie mentioned, but they also might say, oh, have you seen this scholarship specific to our school? And they might help you find other scholarships in their school that you might apply for. So it always is worth asking, especially if it's true that you want to attend that school and you might not be able to unless the financial circumstances change. And sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. Next question is, when should the FAFSA be completed by?
Every school has its own deadline for when they want the FAFSA completed by. Um, my rule of thumb is just to complete it as soon as possible. It's supposed to open up in October of every year. This year, of course, it was delayed as it was also last year. But it should be open October 1st. So being able to get it done as soon as you can is always the best. But also looking into the institutions that you are considering or have applied for, you want to see when their specific deadline is. It also really depends on the type of school. So if you're looking at going to a community college, there a lot of them have rolling admission that the admission is open until like July, whereas like places like the University of Minnesota deadline has already passed and you have your information back. So they might require that you have your FAFSA done sooner than like a community college would. So you'll definitely want to look into the schools that you applied to or are interested in. And it's usually right on their website that says this is when your FAFSA is due.
We have a mix of both juniors and seniors in the audience. So seniors probably know this at this point, but for those juniors out here, the application season is very much kind of end of August through January 1st, with a big emphasis, a lot of places for early action, early decision of November 1st. The application process is a lot of work. And so that's kind of your priority, obviously, on top of everything else that you've got going as a student and extracurriculars, et cetera. And then once those are in, then it's kind of financial aid and scholarship season, which is another reason that we're having this event kind of in this timeline, because acceptances kind of roll in from early action, early decision through January. Kind of the more competitive the school, kind of the later the applicant or the acceptance comes through. So a lot of times, some of the most competitive selective schools that students are the most excited about, a lot of times that comes through in April, and then it's 3, 4 weeks where you're able to negotiate kind of as a family, what's my choice, what are the finances, reach out to some of the schools and make a decision. So that's often why the scholarship, the FAFSA, all of those pieces happen after the application season. But as Kylie pointed out, scholarships can be open all the time. It's just where's your focus based on how much time a lot of this takes. I'm all the way through questions. If there's anything else, let us know. Otherwise, we've got 2 links to lots of links for scholarships out there. And then I do not have the presentation linked in here yet. I'll see if I can get it there. But again, we're recording, so we can send this out to, via email to junior and senior class, so you can access this later as well.
Yeah, I G-chatted you the link to the presentation.
I'm on it.
I hope you all enjoyed the snow day. I enjoyed the snow day.
Hard when they're not able to respond to you except by asking questions.
Yeah.
All right, so there is a link to the Canva presentation. I'll keep this open for, just a couple more minutes to make sure that people have access to the link. But without any other questions, we might shut down here in a couple of minutes. Just one comment. Thanks for putting all of this together, Kylie. That's both from me and somebody in the audience.
Oh, thank you. I try. Thanks for coming. It's exciting.
I'll put this in the chat too, but do you want to say your email address and folks can, reach out to you if they review this later or they have any questions? How can they email you?
Yeah, my email is kdegrote@greatriverschool.org. I can also put my Calendly link in here too. I'm just realizing that I also have the ability to put things in chat.
Okay.
I will put my Calendly link in there.
Well, it's my job as a moderator, but yeah. Why don't
Oh,
you do that? We'll leave this open for one more minute and then we'll head out.
sounds good. Gotta find it though.
Do you have good jokes, Kylie?
Oh, I have so many good jokes. I'm so glad you asked. Where do generals keep their armies?
I don't know where.
In their sleeveys.
All right, no attendees have left since that joke was delivered, so try one more.
um, let's see. What did the vegetable use to change its tire?
I don't know, let me know.
A spare, I guess. Like asparagus, but a spare, I guess. Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel like I could do this for a while, but I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let everybody go. Thanks for coming out, and we'll see you all soon. Have a good night.
Bye, everybody.